This is Olive, and I'm 11 years old, and I live in Southside.
This is Cooper, and I'm 4 years old.
This is Elena. I'm 13 years old and live in Spickley.
This is Julian. I'm 14 years old and live in Highland Park. And this is the Pittsburgh Podcast.
Hey there, Pittsburgh Podcast listeners. Thanks for joining us for this episode. We love interviewing inspiring guests and sharing their thoughts with you. We're also going to reveal a Pittsburgh hidden gem you might not know about. Plus, teens ask other teens questions that we as parents always wanted to know. I'm Christine Sorensen. I anchor the news at KDKA, and I'm a Pittsburgh producer, and I'm here with my friends and Pittsburgh partners.
So glad to be here with you, Christine. I'm Pittsburgh's director, Yu-Ling Chang, and I really enjoyed interviewing the talented Billy Hartung for this episode.
And I'm Melissa Rayworth, the editor at kidsburgh.org. At the end of this episode, our Tea with Teens reporters will share the answers that they got when they asked other local teenagers, what do you do when you're dealing with rejection? How do you handle it? But first, we kick off every episode with a Pittsburgh gem, a really interesting place or organization in the Pittsburgh area that even some longtime residents might not know about. Yu-Ling, tell us about the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra's Fiddlesticks concerts and what a treat they are for families.
I'm a big fan of the Fiddlesticks series. I mean, first of all, it's the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra, one of the world's most renowned orchestras right here in Pittsburgh. You get to go to Heinz Hall, this gorgeous hall, inside the hall, outside in the lobby, and they have a concert just for kids. It's a 45-minute concert, starts at 11:15, ends by 12, friendly music. There's talking within the music, and so you get to understand what you're listening to before you hear it. But what I also love about Fiddlesticks is they open their doors at 10 a.m. and they have all these hands-on activities for kids and their parents to do that helps prepare your experience for what you're about to listen to. So there's a lot of hands-on activities, it's a lot of fun to see the place, and then you go hear this great concert that is designed for kids.
I love that they've created just this really welcoming atmosphere. I think normally the thought of taking small children to the symphony, you're like, oh my God, my kid's going to be the kid who is noisy or doesn't want to stay in their seat, or the show's going to be 2.5 hours long. And the fact that they have dreamed this up and made sure that families with little kids feel so welcome is fantastic.
And I think classical music can sometimes feel inaccessible to people, but they make it totally accessible. What a wonderful way to introduce and get your kids excited about live music, especially classical, and how lucky we are to have this incredible orchestra right here in our area.
And then there is Fiddlesticks, the feline ambassador. As far as I know, Fiddlesticks is about 7 feet tall, but is the warmest, friendliest, cuddliest, very large feline that any little kid could ever meet. So things are even more welcoming because Fiddlesticks is there.
You can learn more about the Fiddlesticks concerts at kidsburgh.org. And next up, our interview with Billy Hartung.
So many kids dream of making it to Broadway, the pinnacle of musical theater. And Billy Hartung made it, originating one of the main roles in the musical Footloose on Broadway in 1998. He was also in the movie musical Chicago and continues to share his love for musical theater as executive director of Center for Theater Arts in Mount Lebanon outside Pittsburgh. Dr. Billy Hartung joins us now. Thanks for being with us, Billy.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So when did you discover your love for musical theater?
I love the question. I was in 3rd grade and the movie Grease was all over the place. And I don't know if it was the hair first or the fact that in the middle of the day they just broke out into song. But that was a pretty big moment for me. So I always go back to John Travolta in Grease.
So tell us, how did you go from a student of musical theater to a professional on Broadway?
You know, I went to Point Park University for musical theater, and at the time, it was the very first year they had a musical theater major. And I did a lot of performing, about 14 shows in those 4 years. And I did a lot of work all over the city, and I wasn't necessarily being paid for everything. Some of it was in exchange for a grade, or some of it was exchange for community impact. And I thought, I'm not getting paid, but the opinions of these individuals are really very clear to me. They like what I'm doing, or, you know, they wonder what I'm doing next. And I thought that is maybe my transition to a professional is I'm putting myself out there to have someone render their opinion over what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. Wherever you are, people would love to have your best, and I'm in tune with, I'll give you my best.
Well, and that makes me think, too, that one of the hardest things about it is putting yourself out there and getting opinions, because they're not all going to be positive. There's a lot of rejection on the road to anything in theater. How do you handle that?
Yeah. My first year in New York City, I decided to keep a journal of everything I auditioned for. So it was over 300 auditions.
Wow.
I did 3 Broadway shows and a couple films and lots of things I'm very proud of. About 8 or 9 yeses. 275 no's in the very first year. But how you approach it is, again, it's another opportunity to let someone know what it's like to be in the room with you. And maybe that project isn't going to work out, but they'll never forget the impact that you made or how you created a space that was very kind or very creative. You know, I always said in my life, it wasn't about my dream coming true. It was the writer's dream coming true. I came to an audition going, they've been writing this show for 10 years. They're going to let me into their dream. I need to be someone they would want to work with instead of, this is my next big show, or I can't wait to go to my next big show. Well, no, I just wanted to be granted access into other people's dreams. And it made show business so much easier for me. Yeah.
That's such an interesting perspective, because I think oftentimes, I'm a former musician, you think about like your performance, the way you're going to do it, right? But oftentimes I'm trying to make the composer's dreams come true. And I love how you just referenced that for the writers.
We sometimes talk about Footloose because that was a big movie that I helped literally figure out how to transition it to the stage. And the writer, Dean Pitchford, he said, you know, Billy, thank you for accepting this role. We weren't sure you'd say yes. Now, I played the villain. I played the bad guy, Chuck Cranston, who makes some poor choices. He goes, I said, what do you mean, thank you? Of course I would have done this. And he goes, no, wait. He goes, we auditioned you for every part. And you could have thought, well, this one's smaller than that. He goes, but the truth is, you were so likable as the villain that it disappointed us every time you made the wrong decision. I needed that in this show. I didn't need someone else who could sing higher. I didn't need someone else who could dance better than another. I needed someone that I would root for. And you just did that for me. And as a writer, that's what I looked for. I never knew that was what they were thinking. But again, it's just give them whatever you can. And then the opportunities came.
See, that makes a lot more sense to me now, because you are so likable. I've known you for, 15 years at least. And I was kind of curious that you played the villain. So I'm glad you made that explanation. Okay, so you run Center for Theater Arts in Mount Lebanon, which is how I first got to know you, and my kids have taken there for years. I always loved your outlook on teaching and performing, which can often sometimes be competitive. How do you approach teaching kids about theater?
Yeah, so I always say that the Center for Theater Arts is a school. It's not a theater company. I want you to want to be in the room, not be in that show. But you go through divisions at the school. There's the junior division. When you're 4 to 8 years old, I think you can sing and dance and act. You just want a place to come and do it. And if we get in the way of that joy, then you stunt the growth of that potential artist. But I'm not going to call you a musical theater artist at the age of 7. You're just a really happy kid who loves to sing. The kids who make it to age 9, 10, they'll graduate. They'll be with us for a minimum of 7 to 10 years. And I think it's because then the investment is on their character, not the character they're playing, but the character they're creating. I say everybody can be a lead, but can you also be a leader and a lead? You know, and we can create that space where sometimes a kid will have the perfect voice for a show, but they haven't really learned how to share that stage with others. And I say, this is the year you're going to learn to share that space. And can you still show up for others? And sometimes kids struggle with that. Sometimes their parents struggle with that. But it always ends up being a win if it's about the kid, if it's about their character.
And I'm just listening to you talk, and all these skills that they're learning are skills for life: teamwork, collaboration, perseverance. So you've touched on this, but I want to go back to a little bit more. So you've made it to Broadway. Not very many people can, even if they're extremely talented, will actually land a role on Broadway. So what do you recommend to kids who want to become professional actors on Broadway or film? How do they get there, and when to know if something's worth pursuing?
It's a business, right? It's called show business. It's not show fun. There will be a lot of students that will enter into a university structure and come back to the center and go, it's not as much fun there as it was here. And I said, well, you made a transition. There are different benchmarks for you in that journey to a profession. The business of show business is knowing how to show up for others, again, for the audience. That might be some kid's first musical theater experience. You still have to believe that there's a space there to create an experience for other people. That standard isn't necessarily maybe what everyone holds themselves to. But for me to do 1,000 performances with no injury or illness in a row was a commitment. And I enjoyed it. It helped me, and it did give me a reputation for being reliable and being really fun to work with. But it was a choice. And there are sacrifices. There will be times where you won't remember you were at show 748, but you did miss your sister's wedding. So how do you build a world where you have the confidence to say, this is important, but me as a person is also important, not just me as the artist. And once you find that voice and you share it and you don't over push it, you just share it, then your world becomes a little more comfortable.
Wow, I love that. Center for Theater Arts also has a program for special actors, people of all ages with disabilities. I loved doing the story about it. People can watch it on kidsburg.org. What does musical theater give to the special actors and their families?
Well, first, at the center, it's community. Right? Every Friday for 40 years, there has been a special actors musical theater class free of charge. Kids have grown up there. And I say it's the same dance studio, the same music, the same teachers, the same show. It's just we have differentiated instruction in that room so that all abilities can have a shared success in Grease. I think Grease and Bye Bye Birdie might have been the two shows we were doing. But like all students, they want to do the show. They want to be in that role. They want to play that part. And they also have to deal with, I didn't get the part I wanted. But that's part of life. Every student at the center goes through that. But their parents are watching their kids being given an opportunity to handle that moment or celebrate that success for someone else. You know, it's funny. Sometimes the kids are like, I don't like that show. And I was like, well, that's okay. We're going to do it anyway. But it's okay that you don't like it. But do you want to be in that room with everyone else creating something? And the answer is always yes. And we do a year-end show, and that auditorium's full. There's 300 to 400 family members there screaming. It's a rock concert of joy. But it gives something to everyone. The parents have a community where they can come. I would say the lobby at the center is a space where parents have grown up and they have tough questions about raising kids with special needs under whatever umbrella that is. And while they're talking about those sensitive subjects in the lobby, in the studio, their children are singing and dancing and creating moments. And then the class is over and they get in the car and they go home. Well, doesn't that happen for everyone? For all parents. So whether you're at a sporting event, you're thinking, okay, I hope that time on the field is good because I'm solving some things here, and then we get some time in the car. And what is that time like? I think whatever age, because you're talking about their parents, some of their parents are 70. I mean, their children are in their 40s and 50s now. That ride home gives them more to talk about and more to share. If I could share one thing, a father said to me once after a big showcase, I come to the center and I drop my kid off. And every time I pick her up, she talks the whole way home. I will fight to be the person to pick her up. So I get to be there to hear all that. And then I get to ask questions, and then I get to know her more. That has nothing to do with playing Maria in The Sound of Music, but it has everything to do with a relationship that I've built with my kid over musical theater, which I don't know anything about, but I'm going to be in the parking lot to pick up my kid. And that's a really cool thing.
I really love that story. I mean, you're clearly creating this safe, supportive environment that's letting kids become who they want to become, and they're excited to share about it. Okay, so I have to ask you, you're a father of 6 kids. How do you think your own experience as a father, as a parent, has impacted your philosophy in teaching theater?
It's about time. I view that time with these kids and the space where they grow, or they are challenged to grow, or they are having a success. I get to be with them sometimes when their own parents can't. And what an honor that is to watch them support others or to rise to the occasion of being a better person, a better artist, a better castmate. But they're with me longer than they are their parents. And so when their parents come to the show, they're like, this show's great. I loved seeing them. I said, yeah, but I got to watch. I had a front row seat for 3 months to watch that happen. And I feel that when I watch my children leave the house, and some of them are athletes, and some of them are a little more academic than others, and some of them are artists, I hope that a coach remembers how much time they have with my child, whether they're starting or not. They're still impacting them. And I hope that a teacher who has my children for 8 hours a day and they're well-fed and well-mannered and they're ready to go, I hope that they remember they get to see things that I don't get to see. And so I have to hold myself to that same standard. Kids grow up in front of me. And what a gift that is. And my own daughter said, Dad, it's so funny because, all these musicals, there's a kissing scene. And you are so protective of that. It's like everybody's your own daughter, And I said, well, maybe that's someone's first kiss. And I don't want that to be in front of 65 kids who showed up because it's Saturday. Like, we need to talk about that. And she's like, I know. I just think it's so funny because in any other high school, there's like, kiss, now. But at the center, it's like, no, nobody's talking about that scene until, we have to grow up together. And that's how I view it.
I can relate. My first being kissed was as Becky Thatcher and Tom Sawyer in 6th grade. So, yes, I get what you're talking about. And, I'm a fan of musical theater myself, of course. But for kids who take theater classes or maybe they're just on stage once at a talent show or a school production, what do you think that experience of being on stage teaches them for life?
Yeah, well, to me, it's showtime all the time. So when they sign up to do that, the clock starts ticking. Maybe it's not opening night like it would be if they were in a big rehearsal for a show, but they have prepared to share themselves with an audience at a specific moment, at a specific time, when it's time to go. And they are focused on doing what they said they would do. In a talent show or a variety show, that's very different. It could be a wrestler who plays a ukulele. And maybe he chose that day to go, I want to sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow with my ukulele. And most people don't see this side of me. That's amazing. And that they get comfortable doing that. Others, it's, they're going to dance because they're dancers. And I can't wait to see them dance. Well, somebody's going to think this is my best dance I've ever done because I chose to do it. Well, maybe it's not their best dance. Maybe it's just the dance that they love and they just want to have fun with their friends who've never been in a dance class before. So a show like a variety show or a talent show is a space to just share joy. In the rehearsals of, look, we're working towards this show that is directed by your director who needs you to do very specific things, those are different disciplines and there's different expectations. But for someone to say, this is me, and here I am, and 800 people are sitting out there, what a great lesson for everybody to go, and that was my 2 minutes, and I did it.
It takes so much bravery. I mean, I think about kids performing on stage and the things that they have to overcome and the things that they learn and how they prep for it. It's definitely a life skill.
Mm-hmm.
All right, before you go, can you sing a little ditty for us?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can sing a Fred Rogers song for you that I sing to my kiddos, like when we're getting ready for school. Yeah. Perfect. I like to take my time. You see that when I want to do a thing, I like to take my time and do it right. I mean, I might just make mistakes if I should have to hurry up. And so I like to take my time to tie my shoes, to eat, to get dressed, to go to sleep at night, to sing a song for you. And anything I do, I like to take my time. You see that when I want to do a thing, I like to take my time. I really like to take. I like to take my time with doodly 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 doo you.
So many things I loved about this interview, and like so many of the interviews this season, Billy clearly loves what he does, and it just sort of comes across in the way that he talks about it. I think it's so valuable no matter what someone is trying to do, a student or a parent, to hear him talk about the fact that he went on nearly 300 auditions. As he described it, he got 8 or 9 yeses out of 275 no's. And yet we look at him and we say, oh my gosh, this guy has been in multiple Broadway shows. He has made movies. By every measure, he is super successful. But the reality of super successful is you're going to get 200 and some no's to get those few yeses. And it's such a helpful reminder for all of us to hear that.
Yeah. And in the job I do as a news anchor, I have hundreds of letters of rejection from jobs I didn't get. And it is such a good reminder that, we all are going to face rejection, and it's how we handle it that really is going to make the difference. I mean, I love musical theater. I performed as a kid, and I thought it was so interesting how he was saying that backstage is even more important than what happens on stage. From his perspective as a teacher, he's seeing all the learning that's going on backstage too, that I think maybe parents and the performers themselves don't even realize is happening.
I loved how he talked about, we always talk about we, not me, right? It's a whole team effort. I also loved his phrase, artistry, that you want to create space for that artistry for people of all abilities and really think of it as artistry. That really stuck with me.
Yeah. I love that he regularly reminds both kids and parents that the Center for Theater Arts, it's a school. It's not a theater company. It's a place to learn and grow and maybe make mistakes and make all kinds of discoveries. That's so valuable. You can find stories about the Center for Theater Arts at kidsburg.org. Now it's time for Tea with Teens.
You're listening to the Pittsburgh podcast.
Pittsburgh is Kidsburg.
Whether we're auditioning for a show or interviewing for a job or just hoping to get chosen to be involved in something at school, we all have moments where rejection happens. In a moment, we'll hear from local teens about their experiences dealing with rejection.
Some things that have helped me get over rejection in the past are remembering my worth and keeping close to the people that care about me.
So when I was in 7th grade, I got rejected, and then I couldn't really handle it that well. I wasn't able to accept it, and it took me years to fully accept that one rejection. But then recently it happened again, and I was just like, oh, I'm so glad that this person made it clear, and I completely forgot about it.
If you do get rejected, you don't make a huge fuss about it. Yes, have your sorrows, but don't make everybody else feel bad.
Basically, I applied to the school. I really wanted to go to it, and so I applied to it. I did not get in, and I was very sad about this. However, I think about it in retrospect, and California is extremely difficult to get around if you do not like driving, if you prefer public transportation. And so I really don't think I would have liked California as much as I thought I would have. And so not everything is going to work out in the way you wanted it to. But sometimes you don't know what would be best for you, even if you think you do. I'm Lila, I'm 19, and I'm from Shady Side.
I'm Michaela, I'm 15, and I'm from Brookline.
My name is Olive, I'm 15, and I live in Allison Park.
My name's Ronan, I'm 13, and I live in Mount Lebanon.
Thanks for joining us for the Kidsburg podcast. We'll have more all-new podcast episodes coming up, bringing you expert advice, inspiring stories, and honest Tea with Teens talk. Until then, we hope you'll visit kidsburg.org to learn about the resources and expert advice that can make the beautiful, challenging job of parenting a whole lot easier. We'll see you then.